For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble, and thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. Oh, yes, and by the way, happy Canada Day to our Canadian friends, our fellow Canucks tuning in. Always appreciate the support from the Great White North. And happy 4th of July, because that's also coming up in a few days as well. Interesting how our two countries have their holidays so close together, right? Back to back. And I have to say, a few weeks ago when we were in Lafayette, Louisiana, I was talking with some Americans, obviously, because it's in the United States. And we were having some discussions. Naturally, as Americans, they are envious of our health care and our gun laws and our hot prime minister, things like that. And I actually did say to them, well, you know what? Growing up, I always felt, and I still kind of do, feel like 4th of July, your national holiday, is just more celebrated. It's just a bigger deal in the United States than Canada Day is. Now, last year with Canada 150, you'll recall that was the big campaign that the federal government and then every province and territory and most cities and towns had a big celebration for Canada's 150th birthday. So we did see a bit of that last year. Now it's going to be interesting to see if it sort of carries on now, because for 151, is it that big of a deal? But maybe that did reinstate some national pride in a lot of people. Obviously, it didn't do it with the hockey season wrapping up, and the Winnipeg Jets didn't make the Stanley Cup Finals. But anyway, I'm not a big hockey fan, so I really don't care. Nevertheless, so I've always been envious that Americans have a bigger 4th of July. They're just way more patriotic when it comes to their national birthday, right? Their holiday. And that's that. All right, I've complimented the States there. Now, a few weeks ago, actually maybe a little over a month ago, I wrote my newspaper column entitled Americans, Change Your Attitudes, Not Your Laws. And the great thing these days, and for many, many years, is that you're entitled to have your own opinion, right? And in a newspaper column, that's what I'm paid to do. And so the purpose of an editorial column is to sometimes poke at people and get them revved up and get them writing a letter to the editor, or an email, I guess, nowadays, to the editor. And what the point in that column was, and I'll just sort of recite it to you now verbally rather than just reading it out, was that, with every one of these school shootings and every one of these, it's always, there's the gun debate, right? Do we change the laws? Now it turns out to be a mental health thing. Do we need to fund more mental health programs and give people health care and things like that? But I don't know, and again, a lot of the people on these panels sort of see it differently. They're saying that gun laws would make it different. They compare it, to Canada and Australia and other countries that have, tighter gun laws. But here's the deal, and I can't claim to have come up with the phrase or the title, Divided States of America. I think a lot of people have said that. But maybe if you changed your attitudes about things, right? As Canadians, we feel that everybody should have health care, whether you can afford it or not, because that's why you pay taxes, and it's just a right. It's just, it's something that you get. We don't believe that it's, a survival of the fittest and that you can only, get by on your own survival, right? There are ways that you get assistance as a Canadian. And so we don't have that mentality that you've got to do it or else you're, it's tough luck for you. That's just not the Canadian way, and we don't see things like that. The majority of us, I guess I obviously can't speak for everybody. And so that's just one example, though, of a situation where you just clash and you don't agree, and it's something so, like, why wouldn't you want people to be healthy and be able to see a doctor? We don't get it. We don't understand it as Canadians. It's very bizarre to us. And the same thing with the gun debate and the gun laws. Sure, it's mental health. Okay, that's maybe a part of it in some of the situations. But then everybody is so combative about things all the time, right? If you put on CNN, you've seen those debates of people, shouting matches and screaming, and it's just your attitude is that if you don't agree with me, then you're wrong, and then I've got to raise my voice and beat my opinion into you. More so because you're just not getting it, because you don't see it my way. You're wrong, and we have to not like each other. We have to not get along, and it's just, again, strange, baffling. If you're an American listening to this right now, again, I'm not trying to tear you apart or rip apart your country, because I think a lot of people recognize it as well. And again, like I said, I'm not certainly coming up with my own, hey, this is what the problem is. Hey, this is what you need to fix it, because everybody knows that it's just a very tough society right now, where people are on edge and people are uptight and people are, easily offended by everything. And it's like, why bother? Why? Anyway, that newspaper column is on our Speak Free with JB website. Check it out at speakfreewithjb.com. Speakfreewithjb.com. And again, happy Canada Day and happy 4th of July, everybody.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. Back in the day, the pickup line was, hey, what's your number, right? Or it was part of the pickup. When you were out talking with somebody, you wanted to get to know them a little bit more. You couldn't exchange social media. You look them up on, whatever, right? So you'd ask for a phone number. And this is probably even before the days of texting, really. But what do you do if somebody asks you for your phone number? Now, here's the deal. I'm going to set up a story. I was at the gym, and I tend to work out at home, and we also have a gym at the office, but I was at a public gym one time, and somebody had struck up conversation with me. And we started talking, and it was quite a lengthy conversation, and towards the end, they'd said, well, hey, let's keep talking. What's your phone number? And basically was holding out their phone so that they could enter my phone number, like, right then and there, right on the spot. And I was caught off guard because I thought, this is awkward. I don't feel that I'm a big celebrity. Don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those people who's like, well, I'm on the radio, I'm in the newspaper, I can't give my phone number. Because quite honestly, this guy didn't even know who I was. And so to me, it didn't seem threatening. Not that I would think, again, I'm not a big shot. I really don't believe that I am. But it's very strange when after a couple of minutes, somebody asks you for your phone number. And so I panicked. And rather than saying no, here's what I did. I gave him all 10 numbers of my phone number. I gave him all 10 digits. But I accidentally flipped 2 of them around. What I mean is, so if my phone number is 1234, I told him that it was 1324, right? Do you see what I'm saying there? And I just felt that this was the safest way. So by the time he entered into his phone, because I had to go at the same time, so it was sort of like as I was leaving, can I get your number? Okay, fine. And so I figured I'm in the clear, because what I can do is if we ever ran into each other again, which now I'm also purposely going to avoid that gym just for the sake of not going there. But that's where I could go and say, oh, no, see, that's not the right number. You've got the numbers flipped around, and I can put it on him that he entered the numbers incorrectly. Meanwhile, and I hope that he won't remember, but he actually did type it in and then show me on the phone to make sure that it was okay, and I said yes. So I'm a dick. I am such a dick. But again, at the same time, it was like, okay, we've known each other for about 10 minutes. We've talked at the gym. that's really about it. I know what he does for a living. He knows that I've got dogs. Like, it wasn't really any in-depth conversation, but I understand that he was wanting to make a new friend, and okay, fine. I truly believe that he was harmless. I don't think that there was anything, creepy, stalkerish about it, but it just caught me off guard, and I don't know. I can say that he's from a different country. I'm not going to start naming ethnicities or anything like that, but he wasn't from Canada, and so that's also kind of where I thought, well, maybe this is just a cultural thing. Maybe this is what they do where he's from. But certainly, me being in the media, and also, and again, I'll just give you a little bit more detail, not to turn this a little bit, but we're kind of like almost naked in the gym. Like, it's in the locker room as, you're getting dressed after working out and everything like that. So, it was a bit of an awkward situation. So I've got the stranger asking me for a phone number just as I'm about to leave because he wanted to keep in touch. And, back in the day, it used to also be, so aside from your phone number to give you a call, it was like, hey, what's your email address? That was sort of the way. Or what's your MSN? People my age group will know what I'm talking about. What's your MSN? But now, it's social media. And, I don't know. What would you do? Send me an email. I want to know. live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com. So here are the options. Do you give a real number? Do you give a fake number? Do you refuse? What do you do? I want to hear from you. Again, live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com. This is The Scribble.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here on The Scribble. I was at the grocery store the other day. Now, if anybody who knows me, I absolutely hate shopping. I can't go to a mall and spend more than, I would say, 1 hour. Even at Christmas, most people say, well, then just do the online shopping thing. I'm still one of those people who, if I'm buying for my nieces and nephews, I kind of just need to go to the store and check out the toys for myself, right? I've got to hold it in my hand. I've got to read the box. I've got to, whatever it is. But grocery shopping I do love. And I can do that for 2 hours. And anybody who's gone grocery shopping with me absolutely hates it. Because I need to go up and down every aisle. And, it's just frustrating. There was one Sunday morning, I've got to tell you this story. I'm going up and down. I don't make a list or anything. I just kind of am looking and go, I'm looking at every product and thinking, do I need this? Do I not? Do I have this? What's the inventory like at home? And I hear a woman, and these are her exact words, okay? And I'm not usually one to swear, but I will because this is what she said. I'm pushing the cart down the aisle, and I hear, "What are we going to have for supper, assholes?" And I sort of was taken aback by that because, first of all, it's Sunday morning, so you just don't expect anybody to be in a rage at that time of the day. And I turn around, and it's this woman, and she's got at least like 5 kids with her. And then, okay, here we go. This is where I'm probably going to get in trouble. I tend to judge people based on what they're buying, okay? So, first of all, she's using that language. Secondly, she's pushing the cart, and I look, and there's, soft drinks and big bags of chips and all these other things. And I'm thinking, okay, mother of the year, so there's really nothing nutritious in this cart that she's getting for 5 kids. Presumably they're hers. I don't know, though. I don't really know the details. And I just thought, wow. So not only are you talking to, and these were young kids, I would say nobody older than junior high. Nobody, certainly not teenagers. They were much younger. And to use that language, I'm 30, I'm going to be 36. I don't think I've ever heard my mom say the word assholes before. I swear to you, I don't think I've heard, even as a kid, I don't think I heard her swear ever. Now that I'm an adult, I'm thinking, have I even heard her? Yeah, I've heard her say shit. But, but I'm in my 30s now. Like, it's totally different. So here's this woman, and so it just kind of makes me wonder about parenting. Like, does this make the kids not respect her? Does she talk to them, on their level, and so she's kind of a peer with them now, right? She's sort of acting like she's their age and not a parental figure. I really didn't know how to take this. Now, again, I'm not a parent, full disclosure, obviously. I'm not a parent, but like many people who don't have kids, I can sort of make judgments about what I'm witnessing, right? I know my brother has 2 kids, and when we used to go to a Pizza Hut buffet, the 2 of us would spend a good 2 hours there, but it was more of a social thing. We would sit and talk, then we'd go eat, we would talk, and then we'd go eat. And he made comments before about like the kids that were just bad, right? The ones that were running around or that were loud and they wouldn't sit still and whatever. And then all of a sudden now that he's got kids, I kind of laugh because when I've gone to the buffet with him now and he brings the kids along, I just kind of laugh. I'm like, you're that guy. You're that dad that you used to just hate because the kids were out of control. And now, I don't know, going back to this grocery store, I don't know that the kids are doing anything wrong or inappropriate. I just heard, what are we going to have for supper, assholes? Now, at first, if it wasn't plural, I would have thought that maybe she was talking to her husband or something, right? Or boyfriend or a grown-up anyway. But to say that, plural, and then I turn around and look and you're with, it was 4 or 5 kids. I think it was 5. I'm fairly certain it was 5. I don't know. And if that was my mom talking to me like that, of course I wouldn't have respect for her. Like, I'm really going to, take anything seriously that she says when she addresses me like that. But I don't know. Again, I'm not a parent. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Send me an email. live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com. We're back on the Scribble right after this.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Jeremy Bradley here on the Scribble. I got a haircut not too long ago, like many people do from time to time in their life. And I'm not sure if I've told this story on the show before, but I'll tell you once again. I know that the hair is going to grow back. That's not the issue. What I don't like is the next day when people see me for the first time, they acknowledge the haircut. I don't like it. It bothers me for some reason. Because it's no, like when I was in school, right? You'd come into school, you'd sit down, you know that people are looking at you and they're going to say something about your hair. Not that it's a bad haircut or anything, but they're just still going to acknowledge it. I don't like that. It bothers me. It's like if I'm wearing new shoes or something and I come in, mind your own business. Okay, they're new shoes. What's the big deal? Like, everybody gets new shoes. So, leave me alone. And I realize that people saying, oh, no, you got a haircut. Oh, nice haircut is a compliment. So it actually should be taken as something nice. But I just don't like it. I really don't. I would much rather just blend into the surroundings. I don't want anything drawing attention to it. Because also, at the same time, then you'll have people ask. Maybe that's also what kind of annoys me. Oh, did you get a haircut? Well, with me, my hair is getting very wavy when it's longer, so it's very obvious. It's very clear when I get a haircut because I almost have, I won't say a brush cut, but it ends up being, just a very short haircut. So it's very obvious that I got something done to my hair. Now, again, is this just somebody's polite way of saying, oh, hey, you got a haircut? By asking you, did you get a haircut, right? I don't know. It's hard to say. So it goes back to even when I was in school. When you'd come back from Christmas break, and almost everybody would be wearing the clothes they got for Christmas on the first day back to school, right? Well, I would always wait. Here I am, 10 years old or so. Here I'm waiting until Wednesday or Thursday to bring out the new clothing, just so that nobody thinks that it's new. I don't know why it bothered me so much. I really do need therapy. Now that I'm speaking this out and telling you the story, I think there really is something wrong with me. But that's just how I was. And it's no different than when I go to a store. If I were to buy a new shirt today, I'm just not going to wear it tomorrow. I don't know why. It is just me. And I want to hear your thoughts. I'm fairly confident I'm alone in this, but I want to hear from you anyway. Send me an email. live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com. And I realize that most people will like being acknowledged that, oh, hey, you got a haircut. Oh, hey, I like those new shoes. Oh, hey, whatever. But I don't know. I like to just fade into the background. I got a haircut. You don't need to say anything. It's like if you got a new coffee mug and it's sitting on your desk. I don't feel the need to point that out. Oh, hey, is that a new coffee mug? When I've never seen it before, and I know that it's new to the office, but I just know. I'm feeling really insecure right now just telling you this story. I don't know, and you can't even see me. That's what's really awkward about this. Send me an email. live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here on The Scribble. I think it's been a few weeks. I'm fairly sure it's been a while since we've talked about relationships on the show, and this came up in a discussion the other day. You're out with your partner, okay? You're in a relationship, you're out with your partner, and you're having discussion, and sometimes, I feel this is a trap, sometimes your partner might ask if you think a person over there is hot. Oh, do you think she's good looking? Oh, do you think he's good looking? And I never know if that's a trap. It depends on your relationship, because you might be getting tested, or maybe you're just, have a secure relationship that it's not a problem. But how do you answer that, especially if it's a new relationship? And have you ever been busted maybe taking a bit of a longer look at somebody? Did you get busted? I want to hear from you. Send me an email. live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com. But is it offensive? So you're out with your boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever. You're out with your partner. I'll use that term just so that, males, females, whoever can relate to it. You're out with your partner, and you're having dinner. And your partner makes a comment and says, oh, that person over there is pretty hot. Is it in the way they say it? Is it in the words they use? Does it bother you if maybe they're taking a little bit of a longer look? Is it offensive? Does it bother you when your partner says that somebody else is attractive? And, here, let's take this one step further. Do you then feel that maybe you need to take on some of the traits that person has? Maybe they had a certain hairstyle, or dressed a certain way. Maybe they were dressed a different kind of way than you are, and your partner says that they are attractive. Do you now step up your game and think, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll buy a shirt like that. Maybe I'll get pants like that. Maybe I'll try those shoes sometime. What do you do? Does it make you feel insecure? Does it piss you off? Do you think that maybe they're just trying to make you jealous? I don't know. And again, it depends on the relationship and how long you've been together and how much communication you have and what the dynamic is. But I want to hear from you. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com, because you have to realize that in today's world with social media, it's almost impossible not to get the wandering eye. Really, you can be in the most committed relationship in the world, most committed, faithful as all hell, but you know that you're going to end up seeing on Facebook or Instagram some shirtless mirror picture or bikini on the beach photos. You're going to see it. You're going to see it. There's no getting around it. But it's all about how secure your relationship is. So send me an email. I want to know what you would think. If you're out with your partner and they say, hey, he or she's pretty hot, what do you think? What's your response? live@jbonair.com is the email address. live@jbonair.com. We're back on The Scribble right after this.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up The Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here on The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes, and we're also on Twitter. There you go. I seem like I have to do that every segment, but, gotta promo, you gotta plug our channels. I'm going to speak to the older generation here for a second, because when I say 3 letters, some of you might not have any idea what I'm talking about. VCR. VCR. Video cassette recorder, I believe it stands for. I was second guessing myself there for a second. VCR, video cassette recorder. As a kid, as a teenager, I went through, oh God, I don't even know, 5 or 6 VCRs. I was big into TV. I was taping as many shows as possible. So back in the day, you would have to set your VCR for 7 o'clock on channel whatever. 7 o'clock, channel 4 for 1 hour. Sometimes you could even just hit the button twice and it'll record for an hour on that channel, right? Couldn't record 2 things at one time. You might be able to record something on one channel and watch another one if you had that TV/VCR button. You know what I'm talking. You old people, you know what I'm talking about. And then you had all the tapes, right? So you would, there were 6-hour tapes, and you would fast forward, or you would record for an hour, and then you would tape something at the end. And then if you run out of room, it's going to rewind all the way and then pop out. It's going to eject the VCR tape a lot of times. But you'd have to remember, if you were like me and you had favorite shows that you were taping all the time, I had at least 20, 30 VHS tapes. And I'm just like, oh my God, where did I have this episode of this? Or where did I record this movie? Or whatever it is. And in your mind, you're having to do math, because it's like, this is a 6-hour tape. All right, so I've got a 1-hour show there. I've got a 30-minute show here. I was taping something without commercials, so that's maybe 20-some minutes there. And there's like this math equation to figure out how much time you have left on your VCR tape. Then, if it's a very old tape, it's going to get eaten. You know that it's going to get eaten. You're going to see the picture start to kind of... And then you might hear a grinding sound in the VCR, and then the tape won't eject, and then you're sitting there going, oh crap, I've ruined it. So then you're trying to be careful by putting your fingers in the VCR and trying to unlatch or undo the black ribbon that is caught around something, because this has a whole bunch of your favorite episodes on this tape and you can't lose it, and it's going to be horrible if you do. And then there's trouble, because you're lost now. I've got 3 episodes of my favorite show that are just gone now, and I've got to wait until it's reruns or whatever. This is back in the day before you could buy all of the TV shows or watch them online, right? And so there was that. And then there's also the hassle of, oh my God, I know that I have the show recorded somewhere. Which tape is it on? Where is it? I've got to find it. What happened? And my parents... Oh, wait, let me just see. Out of room here, and then getting... Yeah. So my parents, I made some notes about this conversation, were one of the very few people to jump on the bandwagon for... As Canadians, we call them a PVR. Americans call them a DVR. And my mom was just not wanting to get rid of the VCR. And I said, you know what? The cable company is going to make you essentially do it if you're upgrading or whatever it is. And the VCR is just... It's not going to work. It's just outdated. And she didn't... It was technology. It was threatening to her. She just didn't want to. And my parents are like that. And they had paid for a phone. You used to rent a phone from the phone company, and you would pay $4, whatever it was, a month for the phone. They had rented a phone for like 20-some years, and were paying for this one that still had the sticker of the phone company on the back, and would basically have to give it back to them. So they paid for that actual phone in the kitchen 10 years over. Like that's how many, how many months of billing. And when you think about it, that's probably more than a cell phone would be nowadays. More than an iPhone they've ended up pumping into this. So they've paid for it 6 times over. And so when they got a PVR, they were unsure about how to use it and still didn't quite figure it out. But then my mom told me after a week or so that she loves it and would never want to use a VCR again. But there's just something nostalgic about it. Again, I'm not saying that I would go back to using a VCR, because again, you're fast forwarding and then you're doing this, and you're kind of doing that with a PVR as well. You're fast forwarding through commercials because you don't necessarily have that luxury of stopping a recording. You can pause live TV, yes, and then fast forward through commercials. But with a VCR, you could, okay, here's a commercial, hit pause, wait it out, hit record again or play when it starts, and then you've got just the show that you want. That's the one thing that I do miss about a VCR. Now, with PVRs, you can have that skip button, so you can just jump ahead 3 minutes, whatever it is. So, yeah, the VCR culture, or not culture, the VCR generation, the VCR generation, we thought it was great technology. And like I said, the remote, that it just had all these buttons and it would do things, it's fast-forwarding, and you can Now when you look at the way technology has changed, it's incredible what you can do. If you had a VCR, share a story with me. Just enlighten me. I don't want to feel old by myself. Send an email, live@jbonair.com. Oh, and we're out of time. All right. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. I'll talk to you next week. Happy Canada Day. Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,